Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Hello there, ladies and gents. Are you ready to rock? Well, I'm not. I'm about to beat the game with the Pidgey. Or maybe, I don't know. Pidgey was ranked the third worst in my top 10 worst Pokemon to do this challenge with, and for good reason. Pidgey has a bad move pool, Pidgey has bad stats, Pidgey kinda sucks. But it does do one thing better than a lot of the other Pokemon on this list, and that is, it can defeat Brock relatively quickly, just 25 minutes in. I had battled the 3 bug catchers and the junior trainer, and I was able to defeat Brock, and the way I was able to defeat him was, yeah, a little bit, that's not my favorite way of doing things. Basically, I lead off by using 2 sand attacks against the Geodude and then just attacking. Why not all 6? I mean, it's a point of diminishing returns. So Evasion has this chart in Generation 1, and to put it into English, Geodude only has a 42.5% chance of hitting me with Tackle. So it's not going to hit me too often, and you do need to deal damage. You see I get critical hits. It's not like Pidgey has terrific speed, but it's better than Paris, so that's kind of nice. Anyway, you just keep hitting the Geodude until the Geodude decides it's done with you. Then what you want is exactly what happened. Onix comes out, and it goes for Bide. Now, Bide can last 2 or 3 turns. I got a 3-turn Bide, so I hit it with 4 sand attacks. After 4 sand attacks, Onix's Tackle has only about a 31% chance of hitting me. So I just keep attacking with Quick Attack. Gust is fine. Quick Attack just ensures I go first, since Onix has pretty decent speed. Whenever it uses Bide, just go for Sand Attack, and hopefully you don't run out. With its accuracy being so low, it's hitting me a quarter of the time it normally would. I won't take too much damage. I came in with such low health, so there was a risk, especially if it hits you with Screech and then a Tackle. That would be bad, but overall, I will use Sand Attack for now, but truth is, Sand Attack is not going to be as useful as you would think going forward. I guess I should just address this right now. It's the same reason I never use Double Team, because at the end, when the battles are toughest, we're not allowed to save in between, and that just introduces a whole lot of luck into the equation. Like, if it hits you before you set up your double teams, then your whole strategy is ruined. And what, you're just gonna reset till the RNG works out? To me, that's not really a challenge, it's a lottery simulator. I'm much more interested in seeing, if possible, can I get by these things without having to rely on that? I'm not saying I'll never use Sand Attack or Double Team. Here's an instance where I use Sand Attack, but these moves take up a move slot that are better suited to something else, especially if you're planning for the long term. So I figured, I've never brought this up before, now's a good time, but yeah, I don't have much to say about this part of the game. Let's go to Cerulean. Now, neither of these fights are horrible, but they're not easy either. I decided to fight the trainers in Misty's gym for a little more experience and then fight the rival, and you can see I'm at level 19. I possibly could have fought more trainers on Route 2, but it's not such a big deal. Anyways, I lead off with Sand Attack, and yeah, I just went on a rant how I'm not going to use it, but he always does, so I'm very justified in this fight using Sand Attack. I then just spam Quick Attack because Pidgeotto is obviously faster, and hope that it faints before I do. Abra can't attack. Good job, team. Then comes the Rattata. It can use Tail Whip, which would have been nice, but it uses Quick Attack, 2-hit KO, and this isn't looking good, right? Well, since I only have 4 HP, might as well try to go for a lucky Sand Attack. I mean, there's no way this is gonna work, right? Right? Oh, okay. Yeah, see, that's not really the way that I should be winning fights going forward, but I'll take it for now. In the early game, it doesn't really matter so much if you get a little lucky, but the more you rely on luck towards the end game, the more the Elite Four are just going to be a nightmare. So it's best not to rely on this stuff. I'm doing these challenges very often, so if I get a little luck here and there, I'm not going to complain. Anyway, the rest of the route isn't too big a deal. I mean, the Onix is pretty annoying to fight, but I was able to get past it. Pidgey, unfortunately, doesn't have any great TMs. It can learn for a really long time, so we're pretty much stuck with the moves we have. Gust, Sand Attack, Quick Attack. We will get Wing Attack soon, but that's only base 35 power in Generation 1. Generation 1 just sucks for some Pokemon. Pidgey, buddy, you're gonna be better in Gen 2, I promise. But yeah, for now, not so much. Anyway, I decided to leave Misty for later because, well, Misty's gonna be difficult, and head to Vermilion. I did do some extra battles on the SSN. There is a rare candy I always skip. I had a feeling I would want that rare candy, I was right. I also fought another couple trainers because I didn't remember which one was the rare candy room and went to the wrong room. But whatever. Honestly, SSN's actually a pretty good place if you're getting stuck at Lieutenant Surge or Misty for more experience. I didn't anticipate it being that bad, but potentially could have fought more trainers here. But the one thing you'll notice I don't get is Body Slam. Why is that? Well, a tiny bird wouldn't be the best choice to Body Slam something, and the developers at Game Freak thought that too, so Pidgey can't learn Body Slam. I wish it could, but nope, no Body Slam. Hooray. Let's fight Rival 3. By the way, I didn't mention the Paris video, but the rival says bonjour, and that's something I meant to bring up in the Paris video, because the rival speaks better French than me. Tisk tisk. Anyway, this fight actually isn't as bad because I did gain those extra levels. It also doesn't hurt when you get a boatload, see, because we're on the SSN, I'm so not funny, of critical hits. And yeah, none of the Pokemon decided to attack. Raticate missed with its tackle, and Wartortle, did nothing. A little bit of luck there too, but trust me, that will turn around fairly quickly. Oh yeah, you may also notice at some point I have a Diglett. Do you know Diglett can't learn Cut in Red and Blue? Every other game it can, but not Red and Blue. It can learn Scratch, though, without fingers. I don't know. I don't understand sometimes. Charizard can't learn Fly, so I had to catch an Oddish. Doesn't have much to do with the run, but when else am I going to get to complain about that? Anyway, speaking of complaining, if you watch the anime as a kid, you know Misty likes to complain, and she's actually pretty difficult, which isn't very surprising because I have a horrible special. But before I could get there, I thought I would battle the Butterfree trainer, and I lost. And that's okay, I'll just reset. Oh yeah, I forgot to save after I beat the rival, so let's go fight him again. Okay, this time he actually did some damage, but we won again. Told you the luck didn't matter. Anyway, let's now fight Misty for real. Staryu's not too much of a problem, it's a 2-hit KO, and Tackle did 5 HP. Starmie, on the other hand, big problem. Misty sets up an X-Defend, which is the worst thing she could do, next to using Bubble Beam, which she also does in short order. Thankfully, since the AI is completely random, she follows it up with a Water Gun and a Tackle, so we've seen all the different things Misty could do, and if she does one of each, I win. And I don't consider that a lucky fight because the AI is random, she literally did one of everything she could do, and it resulted in a victory, so good job me. Oh yeah, I skipped Lieutenant Surge. I don't think that should be too surprising. We'll come back once we have moves that aren't terrible. Anyway, this next section really isn't too bad because with Wing Attack, the grass Pokemon are much easier, even with a very bad version of Wing Attack. The most annoying point is the Hiker with the 2 Geodudes and the Graveler. The strategy? Just use Sand Attack and hope he misses with Self-Destruct. Of course, he kept using Rock Throw, which only has a 60% chance of hitting, I have no idea why, in Gen 1, and even with 6 Sand Attacks, so a 15% chance of hitting, it hit like multiple times. I just kept losing. Eventually, I got a fight that was more reasonable. The Sand Attacks work, the Self-Destructs miss. You can take 1 Self-Destruct. I don't know if the Graveler actually you can, but the Geodudes you can take 1. Anyway, it finally happened. Terrible fight, but that's the last awful rock Pokemon fight because we are about to get some better moves. Once we finish up in Rock Tunnel, we can head to Celadon, and once we're in Celadon, we can get a bunch of useful moves. I should also mention you can even get the TM for Swift once you get to Lavender Town, but it's useless. I had ideas where I may use it at different parts, but nope, completely unnecessary. I wish it was available just a little bit earlier, would have been super helpful, but whatever. Anyway, once we get to Celadon, we can get Fly, and even though we haven't beat Lieutenant Surge, we can still use Fly in battle. So that's a base 70 power flying attack move, way better than Quick Attack. And now that I have Fly, I'm going to go to Celadon Gym and battle all the trainers in there, or at least as many as I can until I run out of Fly. And once I do, I'm then going to head to the Rocket Hideout, but I'm not going to face Giovanni. I'm actually going to go right to the 3rd floor and get the TM for Double Edge, which is a base 100 power, not 120, thanks Gen 1. And it does deal recoil damage, but it is the strongest attack by far that Pidgey will have access to, at least one that doesn't require 2 turns to charge up. So that's going to be one of our main moves going forward. And to show you how great it is, let's go battle Lieutenant Surge. Remember we skipped him? Well, now we can face him pretty easily. And I use the amazing strategy of hitting A enough times so that I use Double Edge 3 times. I know, I've done a similar strategy against Bruno, but it was just so effective, I decided to use what I've learned and apply it in future runs. It was difficult. I sometimes felt like not hitting the A button, but I persevered and beat Lieutenant Surge. Very proud of my accomplishments here. You guys should be too. I will pause now for applause and an ad break. Just kidding, I didn't put an ad break there. Or maybe I did. I don't know. I don't decide those in advance. Anyway, we're going to go back to Celadon because Erika is our best chance at gaining some experience. She actually isn't as easy as you'd think. Like, she's not terrible, but she's not a one-hit KO. Both Victory Bell and Tangela are ranges, and in this battle, Victory Bell survives, but she goes for a retroactive super potion. So it's lucky she didn't attack me. Tangela does one-hit KO, but the Vileplume goes for Petal Dance, and you can see that's pretty decent damage. If their Victory Bell went for Razor Leaf, that would have been the battle. Of course, I also entered the battle at half health, so that would have been my fault, but the point is, you would have thought Erika would have been super easy. We don't even have to think about health. Not the case, and that's actually a really good microcosm of the Pidgey run. Nothing is going to be easy. Every battle, even the ones that are quote-unquote easy, are just a little bit of a struggle where things could potentially go wrong. But I would like to minimize that, so instead of going to the Rocket Hideout and fighting Giovanni, who has some rock Pokemon, I'm actually going to go to Saffron and go to the Fighting Dojo. Because the Fighting Dojo not only will give me valuable experience points, but what's called stat experience points, which were converted to EVs in later generation. Again, I don't really want to get into what they are, but just know they have high attack stats, so I'm going to gain some attack stat experience, which is useful. And after I've gained all that and gone through Rocket Hideout, I am going to fight Giovanni, and I said I stopped mentioning him, but he's actually kind of difficult, and Giovanni's where I learned something. I was under the impression that it would be better for my health if I used Fly as much as possible, because Fly doesn't deal recoil damage. It's only a little bit weaker, right? Like, it would be best for my health. Totally wrong. That 30 extra base power is like 50% of what Fly does. It's very significant. And you can see in this second battle, where I use Double Edge, just how much easier the battle goes. Yes, I need to be careful and to use Fly if my HP gets too low, but I should be using Double Edge as much as possible. Also, I decided to use Agility and take advantage of the Badge Boost glitch, which boosts stats every time your stats are modified unless you level up, and it allowed Giovanni to be easy. Kangaskhan ending with Rage also helped, but I'm not going to complain. And after we've beaten Giovanni, we can face rival number 4. He's even easier than rival number 3. Pidgeotto was a one-hit KO with Double Edge, although it hitting me with the quick attack was annoying. I decided to set up against the Growlithe, all 3 agilities, raising my attack a little bit. It caused Fly to one-hit KO the Growlithe, the Execute, and the Kadabra, and Double Edge would also one-hit KO the Wartortle. Not bad at all, and this fight is definitely going to be easy the rest of the way. By the way, actually I guess I should mention why pick Squirtle. Blastoise can learn Blizzard. And yeah, that's not very good for me, so yeah, that's why I have the rival pick Squirtle. Anyway, nothing interesting in the Pokemon Tower, and we're gonna head to Fuchsia City. And I tried to battle Koga. That went very poorly, because, and this may come as a shock, a gym leader with Pokemon with good HP and good defense are going to be pretty good against a Pokemon with terrible stats in pretty much everything. I know, shocking, but Koga was really giving me problems. I mean, I could definitely knock out his first 3 Pokemon with a little bit of luck, but there was no way I would knock out the Wheezing unless I used Fly and it decided to self-destruct. Okay, I'll take it. You know what? That's exactly what I was trying to do. That is called strategy, my friends, and it worked. Well, since now I've beaten Koga, let's go to Sylph Company and battle some people, and I decided relatively early on, you know what, let's see if I can beat rival Fievel. And yes, I actually named him Fievel because birds and mice don't like each other, I guess. Also, Fievel comes from an American tale. They sing about having no cats in America, which would upset a large number of people, but the mouse protagonists were quite happy. Anyway, our rival Fievel is going to be pretty sad because he didn't have a really good fight. He got a critical hit with a quick attack, but missed with sand attack and used whirlwind, so I could set up all 3 agility. Unfortunately, Fly still wasn't a one-hit KO, but he decided attacking was lame, so he didn't do that, and the next Fly did knock him out. Now, thanks to the badge boost glitch, we will knock out the Growlithe in one hit, and irrespective of that, we would knock out the Execute and the Alakazam, and agility actually lets us outspeed the Alakazam, so it's doing what it's supposed to do, which feels nice. We're actually using a speed move to outspeed. Great. Anyway, Blastoise is kinda scary, so good thing we level up nullifying our attack boosts. Amazing. I actually wasn't planning on winning this battle, I just wanted to see how it would go. Double Edge does about half, so it's a 2-hit KO. It uses Water Gun. Alright. Oh, give me a break. Oh, withdraw. Okay. I actually wasn't planning on winning that battle. I know that sounds weird, but one of the easiest way of figuring out strategy is to do a scouting battle, just to figure out sort of how much damage I'm doing, how much the badge boost glitch affects things, you know, stuff like that. Whether I need to manipulate experience points, and this time it just happened to work out. I think it's because I named him Fievel that he wanted to make sure rival Fievel was a big disappointment. So that sucks, but at least Fievel will battle us a couple more times. Maybe he will redeem himself. But first we have to battle Giovanni, who was not easy once again. I lost a few times. I decided to go for 3 agilities. Nidorino can be pretty annoying, but when it goes for Focus Energy, a Guard Spec, and a 2-hit Fury attack, the battle's looking pretty good at the outset. It gets even better when I get a critical hit against the Kangaskhan. I'm not sure if with the 3 12% increases it would have been enough to beat the Kangaskhan, but now we'll never know. Continuing the theme of not attacking, Rhyhorn decides attacking would be super lame, goes for a Tail Whip, a Guard Spec, 3 double edges, and look at that, I level up in the middle of a fight again, hooray. Also, I'm running really low on HP, so I can't just use double edge, I have to mix in a Fly. Thankfully, Nidoqueen also doesn't feel like attacking me. Giovanni's just being uncharacteristically nice. For a crime lord, he sure really doesn't like hurting other people's Pokemon. I don't think he knows how to do this very well. Maybe that's why Team Rocket keeps getting thwarted by 10-year-olds. Just my 2 cents, whatever. Anyways, I'm not sure how to segue from that, but let's go fight Sabrina. She's pretty easy. We outspeed the Kadabra, double edge 1-hit KO, double edge 1-hit KO on the Mr. Mime, Fly 1-hit KO on the Venomoth, and I actually get outsped by the Alakazam. Should have gone for agility. Goes for Reflect, but I get the critical hit. Definitely mattered. But in truth, I simply would have set up an agility against the Mr. Mime, which would have boosted my attack and allowed me to outspeed the Alakazam, which would have been the point. So it would have been another opportunity to use agility as a speed modifier. And you know, that's a real loss, because getting to play Generation 1 the way it's supposed to be played, there's like something special, you know? It doesn't happen often, but when it does, you really gotta savor those moments. But yeah, that's enough savoring for one day. Let's go fight Blaine. Now, Blaine works fine if you get a little lucky, and I'll just be upfront with it. You basically need to set up against the Growlithe and not take too much damage. I got Growlithe not attacking me once, and when that happens, you can use Fly against both it and Ponyta. A double edge will 1-hit KO the Rapidash, and then the Arcanine is a 2-hit KO. Even if it hits you with a pretty powerful attack, maybe Fire Blast would have done more, I'm not sure. But I did have a little HP to spare, so maybe it would have worked out. I'm not actually sure how lucky I was in this fight. Definitely the Growlithe allowing me to set up was... I actually wasn't expecting it to go that well, so I'm not sure. Maybe you would have had to level up a little bit more, and that's the truth. Like, when it comes to a lot of things in this run, Pidgey has such a shallow move pool, I don't really have other options. If something's not working, I just have to level up until it does, and that's the mark of a really poor Pokemon, because ideally you'd be able to move around its move pool a little bit and try something different. Here, we're already pretty much at the optimal move pool. If it's not working, I don't know. There's not much more we can do. And that proved to be a pretty decent strategy against Giovanni. I mean, I did have a pretty cool strategy as well, but I needed to level up a little bit more before I actually was able to get it to work. Now, the difficult part of the fight are the first two Pokemon. I can't get hit with Stomp or Slash from Dugtrio. I only get 2 Stomps from the Rhyhorn, which allows me to set up all 3 agility. And you see me mixing up Double Edge and Fly. I was just curious how much each would do. This was also a bit of a scouting battle. In the end, I got a critical hit, which helped. Against the Dugtrio, I just don't want Growl or Slash, which is pretty likely. But Giovanni goes for a Guard Spec, which isn't too bad. I'm able to mimic Dig. Dig is a base 100 power move, so it one-hit KOs the Dugtrio, but not the Nidoqueen. Thankfully, Giovanni loves Guard Spec, so yeah. Nidoking is a one-hit KO. I know the Rhydon won't be, but good old Guard Spec helping us out once again. Yeah, those are the 8 gym leaders with just a Pidgey. I'm not even that over-leveled. Isn't that great? I mean, level 54 isn't that too far off where a lot of my other Pokemon have been. It's not like the 8 gyms are the hard part, though, but it's still kind of a nice little accomplishment. But I'm done feeling accomplished. Let's fight all the really difficult trainers, including Rival Fivel number 6. Now, Pidgeot has Quick Attack and Wing Attack as its main attacks, so I actually can set up 3 agilities pretty safely. He does get off a decent number of attacks, but my health is still looking pretty good. Rhyhorn can be a real pain if it uses Stomp. Thankfully, I got Horn Drill, which actually can't do anything. Man, Gen 1 AI is bad, but whatever. 3 Double Edges is all I need. Now, once again, Fly will be able to one-hit KO the Growlithe, the Execute, and the Alakazam if it doesn't use Reflect unless I get another timely critical hit. Yeah, that keeps seeming to happen. Pretty lucky. Speaking of which, Blastoise will be a 2-hit KO unless I get a critical hit. I don't, but it goes for Skull Bash. This fight, pretty lucky. I mean, the truth of the matter is, I could have leveled up a little bit more here as well, but I wanted to see how low a level I could be up to this point. And why up to this point? Why was this something I was interested in? Well, because I knew that the real final boss of this run was not going to be anyone we'd normally expect, but would actually be Lorelei. Because let's just take a look at what Lorelei has to offer. She has a Dugong, which knows Aurora Beam, and AI that will always use a super effective attack. It only has 1 ice attack. Luckily, it doesn't have Ice Beam, but Aurora Beam is still going to do great damage. Then we have Cloyster, which is known for its insane defense. So, at my level, Double Edge is doing like nothing. Mimic, that's not helping. They don't have any moves that we could use. And Agility, yeah, we're going to set up Agilities against something using Aurora Beam, which pretty much one-hit KOs us. So, everything we've done to this point really doesn't matter all that much. How low a level we are at has no impact because Lorelei can only be beaten at a much higher level. I mean a much higher level. And this required me to go back and beat every trainer I could. I possibly could have saved time battling some trainers in gyms. That was a missed opportunity. And, you know, that was just curiosity, especially Sabrina's gym. That would have helped with my special static speed. You know, these runs are not meant to be perfect. And I was kind of hoping the rare candies, all 10 of them, would be enough, but not close. So what level did I need to be at until Lorelei became doable? Level 60? Level 70? Level 80? Nope. Nearly level 90 is what it took to make Lorelei consistent. And without further ado, cue Ice theme from Pokemon Conquest. Let's talk about Lorelei. At level 88, Double Edge becomes a one-hit KO. And that's huge because we don't have to worry about Aurora Beam from Dugong potentially lowering our attack. Now for Cloyster, I use Fly. The reason being, it's HP conservation just for safety. It's going to be a 2-hit KO regardless, unless I get a critical hit. So it makes no difference, except for the slight chance I miss with Fly, going for Double Edge versus Fly. So Fly is just the safer option overall. Now, Slowbro, as you remember, does not like to attack. So what we're going to do is not use Double Edge. That was a misclick. You're supposed to go for Agility, set up all 3, and then try and 1-hit KO the Slowbro. It's not guaranteed to be a 1-hit KO, but if not, use Fly. Thankfully, Lorelei just has Super Potions, not Hyper Potions. Thank you, Generation 1, once again. Jinx will be a 1-hit KO, and Lapras is a range, but thankfully, we do get that retroactive Super Potion once again. That's actually not too uncommon for her to do that with Lapras at such low health, but a 1-hit KO looks cooler. Anyway, we beat Lorelei finally, but it's not like the rest of the Elite Four is a cakewalk by any means. Except Bruno. I actually had a little bit of fun in this battle, but the strategy is supposed to be use Double Edge to get rid of Onix as quick as possible, use Fly against the Hitmonchan as a 1-hit KO, then use Mimic on Hitmonlee to get High Jump Kick. It's a 1-hit KO with Fly, High Jump Kick's a 1-hit KO against the Onix, and Fly's a 1-hit KO against the Machamp. You can see I did something a little bit different, where I used Double Edge against the second Onix, and I set up Agilities against the first Onix because it used Rage, and I was annoyed because that's such a bad move. Why would anything have Rage? I have Rage that it has, the move Rage. Irony. Bruno is just too easy. How is he the one that they kept in Gold and Silver? I don't understand what they were thinking. He's like the worst Elite Four guy. But funny enough, in terms of taking damage, Agatha is actually easier because at my level, Fly is a 1-hit KO against all the Ghost Pokemon, and apparently Arbok, because she surprised me and swapped out the one thing I don't like about Fly, but it was still a 1-hit KO. Double Edge, 1-hit KO the Golbat, as you saw. Very, very easy. No damage against Agatha. And considering just how annoying she can be, I'll take it. But Lance is pretty difficult. I'd actually lost a few times to this point at my current level to Lance. But I had a new strategy that I thought might work, and I was right. So, thankfully, the Gyarados doesn't use Hyper Beam or Hydro Pump, but it really, as you're going to see, didn't matter. I'm only going to set up a single Agility, and then mimic Hyper Beam. Then I'm going to go for Hyper Beam. Thankfully, again, even though Hyper Beam misses against the first Dragonair, it doesn't attack me. That may have mattered, because while Hyper Beam does 1-hit KO both Dragonair, it may not have 1-hit KO'd the Aerodactyl. I was very nervous about that, so I went for Double Edge. Aerodactyl retaliates with a takedown, and it does pretty decent damage, but Double Edge is able to hit it. I was also worried about missing. I did risk it and went for the Hyper Beam against Dragonite, and it did 1-hit KO. So it may have 1-hit KO'd the Aerodactyl. One thing that's weird about Hyper Beam in Generation 1, as you see, if you knock out a Pokemon, you don't have to recharge, but I'm always nervous about those that are ranges, because if I miss, that's then another turn wasted, and that can be the difference between winning and losing. And I won. So, evidently, I made the right decision, although we don't know if it's the optimal decision. That requires doing these fights over and over again, and this was the first time I'd actually gotten to the Aerodactyl, and thus, as you could expect, the first time I made it to Champion Fivel. Would my Pidgey be able to take down his team of very good Pokemon? Let's find out. So, I decide to not risk anything and just go for Double Edge against Pidgeot. Double Edge is actually a really cool animation. I miss animations, but they waste a lot of time, and I do these like every single day. Still, 1-hit KO, not too bad. Then I decide to go for Fly against Alakazam. Of course it goes for Reflect, and I don't get the timely critical hit. Here's where the wheel starts spinning for me. I'm starting to think about later in the run, and I realize Alakazam may be able to help me. So after it recovers, I mimic Psychic, and I will use that a little bit later. It then decides to go for Reflect again, which doesn't work, and so I set up an Agility because an Agility, you'll see, it does a lot more damage. After he recovers, I go for Fly, and look how much damage it does, but he recovers again, and this time, I'm annoyed and I just want to get rid of this Alakazam before it gets critical hit with a Psychic, which we know is coming, so I use Double Edge and down goes Alakazam. I was very worried about this Rhydon, as you could tell, because that's what I use Psychic against, and I get a special drop. It goes for Fury Attack and misses, that's about a 15% chance, and my second Psychic takes it out. I get to use Psychic with Pidgey. How often do I get to do that? First time ever. Now with Arcanine, I was a little too cautious. I wasn't sure if Double Edge would one-hit KO, so I went for Fly since I didn't want the recoil damage and the damage from the Arcanine. Well, based on how much damage Fly did, 30% higher, that may have actually been a one-hit KO. Thankfully, it goes for Roar. I go for Fly once again because I don't want the recoil damage. Down goes Arcanine. Then comes out Executor. This one I'm actually not nervous about. I know a single Fly will one-hit KO, and I get a critical hit. Beautiful. But we have a Blizzard using Blastoise that we need to defeat, and I messed up. We leveled up in the middle of the fight, so I don't get that extra 12% boost in all my stats. Uh-oh. This battle's over. I mean, I'm not going to survive a Blizzard. Okay. I mean, it would have been very close. I'm curious whether I actually would have survived or not, and whether the extra 12% in special would have made a difference, but now we'll never find out because we won. And this run had a lot of luck, and that's why I was very upfront that while these videos give a good idea of what the tier list should be, there is extra opinion needed, and Pidgey was awful. I mean, no single fight was the worst, but there wasn't an easy fight. Every fight, if you didn't get a little bit of luck, if you didn't level up enough, it didn't work. And that's the mark of a just terrible, terrible Pokemon. One of the worst I've ever used, honestly. And it's also the highest level Pokemon I've ever had to beat the game with, and it's in the double-digit hours, so I'm gonna put it in the Abra tier, but above Abra. I know that in my original top 10 list, I thought Pidgey would be the third worst, but I underestimated just how annoying it would be to get by Brock. Pidgey was bad. It wasn't as obviously bad as Paris, because Paris had just such glaring weaknesses, but there were also fights Paris did very, very well. There were no fights, except for at level 90, you know, some of the fights in Elite Four, Pidgey was bad. And that's actually why this video can be a little misleading, right? At level 90, everything looks easy, but I had to get to level 90 and waste all that time. And that's why I feel both level and in-game time help tell a story. But truth is, if I didn't get that lucky critical hit against the Blastoise, would I have leveled up to 91, 92? At least 91, because I wouldn't have wanted to level up in the middle of the final fight. So, you know, we have to take these numbers with a bit of a grain of salt, but that's not to say I'm not pretty confident with where the list is at right now. Thank you for all the support. I know the videos have slowed down a bit, but I'm spending a little bit more time on each one, so hopefully it shows, but I don't know. Anyway, I'm gonna go work on the next one. Take care, guys.